Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel, and we have something really exciting to talk about today, which is news. News for Arkham Horror, the card game. If you haven't already found out, there is going to be a new product coming out next, I believe it's April, and it is a new core set. So it looks just like this over here to my right, is going to be what we have to play with for the foreseeable future. And this is called the next chapter. Chapter 2 is what they're calling it. It's a replacement for the old core set and really goes really nicely with this idea of switching into a more rotation based card game where the current environment is going to be built around what's in this core set and whatever new other products that we get. So it's really interesting time to be thinking about Arkham, playing Arkham, and looking forward to indeed the next chapter. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole announcement article with you. I'm going to leave that for Justin on his channel. I was very privileged to be on a video with him on playing board games. But if you're curious of what this looks like, there is a whole website in on fantasyflightgames.com, the whole news article that talks about exactly what this is. I'm going to give a brief summary. Essentially, everything that is going to be printed going forward, campaign wise, is going to require this new core set. So it will include new investigators, and they said new mechanically different investigators, as well as totally brand new investigators as well. So you can see in this artwork that's on the cover, we've got Daniela, who is going to be our new core set guardian, probably. We have Joe Diamond, who has been confirmed to be our core set seeker, and this is Izzy Barnes, who is going to be our core set survivor. We know nothing about their abilities. They'll probably be different. Their skill lines or stat lines probably different as well, and their deck building probably different as well. Everything is backwards compatible and forwards compatible, hopefully, with the old stuff. So you are allowed to play your old investigators in upcoming campaigns, including a new three-part campaign in this core set. So gone is The Gathering, Midnight Masks, and Devour Below. We have something totally new that is called, let me look at it again. It's called a Brethren or just Brethren of Ash. So something cool for us to investigate in the future. Just a new campaign, basically 3-part campaign, mini campaign. And yeah, there's new cards here. I don't know how many reprints are going to be in this new box, but we were shown a lot of totally new cards. I'm going to look at them. That's really what I want to do with this video, talk about those new cards. But I really want to stress that they said that there's new encounter cards in this core set that'll be used going forward, and there won't be potentially a good chunk of the old encounter cards. So if you want to play all the old campaigns, Path to Carcosa, Edge of the Earth, even Drowned City, you need the old core set, which is a bit awkward. We're in that awkward position where the old stuff isn't gone, the new stuff that has been designed in this new model isn't here yet. So in the meantime, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to buy a new core set basically if you want to do the stuff going forward, and that's just again part of the unfortunate flip over here. Couldn't happen all at once, obviously, with the idea that you need 3 or so campaigns or investigators in order to have a current, which is what they're going with. So we're gonna wait for all the old stuff to go away and the new stuff to come in, and there's be a few growing pains. But you know what? They told us in the video that they are hoping to have 4 new products, whatever those products might be, either investigator player card or campaign related, every year. So the game's not gone. There's a lot of enthusiasm for the game, and I feel like this chapter 2 is a good stepping point, entry point essentially for new players and old ones who maybe didn't buy all the old stuff and don't feel like they need to go fill out their old collection, because I think the design philosophy going forward is going to be, let's balance things around what we think the game should be like now. Unfortunately, I think the game is good. The game is very fun, but for people who have an entire collection, the game has felt a bit on the easier side, and I would say a bit on the unbalanced side for some time now. And perhaps some of that was different design philosophies from the beginning to how things actually panned out. And that left us with maybe a state of the game that was not ideal. And this is a fantastic time for us to reset, to think about how should the game be played, what should the balance be between the classes, the cards themselves, interactions they try to, account for now instead of worrying about so many years of product. Because we're coming up on 10 years of this product being on shelves. In this way, we can have a new core set, have new campaigns, new player cards with the same base experience we had before, but a little bit more curated, a little bit more curated in the sense of these are the interactions they're thinking about and designing about, and not trying to worry about some busted interactions from cards that have been around for a long time. Also, they also don't have to think about cards that are no longer in print because they weren't in the old core, and people might not necessarily own those products like Dunnett or Carcosa, having staple cards. And now is a chance for to say, these are the cards we want for you to build around with additions in other products. Potentially, it was not announced, but it seems very, very likely that we'll get new investigator starter decks as well to kind of have a nice clean slate there too. So Nathaniel Cho, Winifred, Jacqueline, all those will be out as well. So we'll get something that is new and more closely aligned with what the designers want the game to be. Great. That's a pretty much a summary of what we've been told. I'm excited about this just because I want to reset and think more about how the game is going to be played going forward. I found the Drowned City to be a fun campaign, but way too easy with the cards that I was playing with. And it's time to tone things down a bit. And I'm excited to dive into a new chapter of the game and take advantage of a reset in the encounter cards as well. Okay. Um, let's look at some of these cards. I'm just going to, again, I'm not going to read through everything with the text here because I'll leave that for Justin's video. I do want to mention one thing that's here at the end. But we have a whole set of, I guess this is 14 cards here to look at, that some of which are reprints. Most of these are totally new. And it's hard to think about the power level of these cards because the environment that they're going to exist in is different. Yes, you can add them to your old collection and play legacy style with everything in there, but the designers have been very clear, we're not trying to balance around those particular interactions. So we have Bodyguard. This is a level 0 ally. And one thing that's really interesting to note here is that they've changed the framing. This is a good chance for them to have changed what the cards look like themselves. The damage and horror is, I think it's in the same place. It's just that this blue border here at the bottom of assets is lower. So it gives us more room for text, flavor text. Not a lot here, of course, but this to me is not a particularly interesting ally, but I think most of the cards are going to be simple anyway. So 3 cost, ally traded, Bodyguard may be assigned, damage dealt to other investigators at your location. Not horror though, just the damage. Reaction: when Bodyguard is defeated, deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. It's a pretty minimal effect, right? If you're thinking about this compared to Guard Dog, which I don't know if exists in this iteration of the game, it's not as good. But it's a combination of a few different cards that already exist. There's a little bit of Guard Dog, a little bit of Tetsuo Mori, a little bit of Brother Xavier in a cheaper package, really, right? So maybe if there's more other ally support, this is more interesting, but as it is, okay, great. Again, I don't even want to say things like I'd love to include it in my blank deck because I don't know if there are any decks right now that I can even think about this guy fitting into because I don't know what Daniela's investigator ability is. I don't know what her deck building is like. I don't know if other investigators in the box can take this guy. So I don't want to do the natural thing of say, oh, Charlie would like this guy because it's just we're in a new frontier at this point. So just looking at cards and thinking about what's different here. Here is another card that has almost nothing on it. Resilience, 3 costs as well. No slot this time, but 2/2 soak. So the art is pretty sick, but other than that, it's a very basic effect. Good to be in the core set. And it's a nice time for them to redefine what the classes do. And these 2 cards show me that Guardian is all about soaking, tanking hits, maybe. It's kind of a Daniela thing that we already knew about, but this is just a thing that they can do for pretty cheap, really. Now we move on to seeker cards. And this is local map. It's a seeker asset that is a hand slot item. 4 secrets, 3 cost. Spend 1 secret. Investigate with intellect. New templating here as well. Investigate a revealed connecting location. You get +1 for this investigation. If you succeed, you can exhaust this thing to move that location. I think this is a fun card. I can see this fitting in very well to the legacy environment. Just a nice bonus to investigation. You get a clue, you get a move out of it. They did mention in the Reddit AMA this week that they want to take movement a bit away from Seekers and give it to Rogues more. This card feels like it's reasonable movement compared to, say, Shortcut, which was just you just get a free move. This requires you to do an investigation. You need to succeed. So it's stapled to an action that you already are doing. But in effect, it is 4 shortcuts, right? So you still have that, but you have to take up a hand slot and you have to be able to succeed at investigation. So good card. I also like how it kind of replaces to me the idea of the level, I think it's 1 and 2 cards, the Esoteric Atlas card that just gave you extra moves. Wasn't really played much. I think this one will be, and not just because we have to play it. Sharp Rhetoric, 2 cost asset, and here's a talent that looks a lot like the hyper awareness, higher education type. The hyper awareness one, of course, came out in the previous core set that let you spend resources for skill boosts. This is the same idea, but we're using intellect and willpower, and there's an additional bonus if it's an investigation or a parlay, which makes this card way better than just the random, intellect or agility test that hyper awareness was. So probably we get something like this in every class, probably, and it'll be interesting to see what those skills would be and what the bonuses are towards. It could be like a fight or evade. I don't know. Um, Interesting, right? Interesting that we get a card that was kind of outclassed, but this feels generic enough to still be in the core set. Speaking of an old card, Mad Glass. You've seen this one before. It's a very good card. They've indicated that they still want Seekers to be very good at getting clues, but I don't know about the other brokenness of Seekers, right? Things like the untabooed Dr. Milan, level 4 cryptic research, lots of card draw that just came very fast. I think magnifying glass is very, very strong, but I don't know if it alone was causing Seekers to be busted. We also sort of have to talk about that later when we see the investigators. The investigator designs might tone down the skills, like we had a 5 intellect Daisy Walker in the core set. Maybe we don't get one of those here. So let's go on to the next one. This is a rogue card, the M1903 Hammerless. They have a lot of 3-cost assets here. 4 ammo in this firearm. Spend 1 ammo. Fight using agility here. Again, nice that they are able to compress the text on these cards to say exactly what they do. If the targeted enemy is exhausted, this attack deals +1 damage. A little bit of a combination of the British Bulldog, which used agility for fighting, and the 25 automatic, which did extra damage if the enemy was exhausted. Neither of those cards are, of course, in a core set, but the ability to use agility to do damage and to fight with is now a core rogue mechanic, which in the core set that we have currently, Skids would love this, right? But he didn't have a good way of boosting his agility, and he was kind of forced to use the cards that were in Guardian and Rogue to fight with, which was tough with him. A lot of empty space here, no flavor text. So despite the fact that they made this a little bit shorter in terms of words on the line, they didn't really take advantage of the rest of the card. Maybe we'll get an upgraded version. We actually didn't see anything that was level 1 or above in this preview article, so maybe there's an upgraded version that has some more cool stuff on it. This guy, though, has flavor text. He is a 4-cost asset that's an ally, +1 agility, so really good for that gun that we just saw a second ago. and he's got a bonkers ability. During your turn, exhaust him, move to a connecting location. This is Pathfinder, right? Without any of those restrictions, but they want rogues to do this. They want rogues to move around. I think it's extremely strong at level 0. This is one of the story allies from the Drowned City. If you haven't played, I won't say anything more about that, but in that particular campaign, that is a very strong effect, which they want us to continue to have. And okay, great. In the legacy environment, like holy cow, Monterey Jack would love this. Just it's just crazy. But maybe things are different now. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to be expecting in terms of overall balance, but to me, this just jumps out as being that's why I'm playing Rogue. How about Mystic? More assets, huh? Cloak of Resonance. This is an item, clothing, and alchemy. Whatever that helps us with in the future will be interesting. But 3 cost reaction. When horror is placed on Cloak of Resonance, exhaust it, deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location, which feels a lot like Agnes Baker, who probably isn't in this set, although we've not seen who the Mystic is. There's no real indication from the article or the art on the front of the box, so who knows? But this is a pretty cool body slot item, so I think this is a very strong choice at level 0. And I mean, a lot of things in Mystic cared about some kind of backfiring from a spell, and horror was reasonable for this. We are told, of course, that Ward of Protection is still in this set, although it's a new frame. You can see the icon for the Mystic class is over here in the upper right, which is now like assets, and I suspect skills will have that as well. We don't actually see any skills in this set, but there you go. It's the same old, same old. It's a good card. It's an effect that should be a core set card, so congratulations, Ward Protection. You've made the cut. We do have a new Mystic card for fighting, so it's no longer Shriveling, but instead we have a card called Cosmic Flame. Once again, a 3 cost asset in this box. It's a spell. Fight using willpower. If you succeed, you may spend 1 charge to deal +1 damage for this attack, which is really interesting, right? Because Shriveling had you spend the charge up front, and this card you decide after you succeeded the test. So an autofill won't make you spend the charge, but also if you only want to do 1 damage and not 2 damage, don't spend any charges. Very strong ability. Backfiring here is if you reveal a skull token during this test, remove 1 charge from Cosmic Flame. If you can't, take 1 damage and discard this card. So the charges are doing kind of double duty. They're protecting the card, but also dealing extra damage. Note that Shriveling had 3 charges, so it did a maximum with those. This has 3 charges, so it does a maximum of 6 damage if you're using the charges. If you're not, obviously you can continue to use it. In Shriveling, there were 4 charges, so it kind of did a 8 damage by baseline. This is probably better, just easier to use, and doesn't have that awkward am I using charges to do the extra 1 point of damage problem. But potentially the skull token can be difficult. So we're still keeping the token manipulation probably in Mystic. And yeah, I mean, not much more to say about this card. I will say that I hope we get upgraded versions of this in some sense, where we're not looking for other products to give us upgraded spells, because level 0 Shriveling is okay, but what made that suite so powerful with the investigation and evade versions was that you had upgrades. Maybe we don't have that problem anymore. Maybe things are very different without, say, arcane research or down the rabbit hole in the card pool ever again. So they can rebalance what those upgrades are going to cost. Something exciting to see. Again, that is why I'm interested in chapter 2 of this game, because we don't have to be strangled by the old design philosophies that might not have been good ideas. Okay. Survivor. Alexei Sabarov. 3 cost asset once again. When your turn begins, heal 1 damage or horror from this guy. He's got 2/2 soak. So he's like Peter Sylvester, but no bonus to any particular skill. So Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good choice for survivors and the idea of being able to survive the mythos. Obviously, Jessica Hyde was the other version of this at level 1, which gave you a combat boost. This is just giving you soak. And maybe with the Guardian cards that we saw before, if the idea is that's a cool thing to do at level 0 to have available to you for a pretty reasonable price. Um, yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about this guy. Our second card here in Survivor is Hunter's Instinct. This one only costs 2. Talent, limit 1 per investigator, has 3 supplies on it. And a very common Survivor thing is that if something runs out of uses, it gets discarded. Similar here. After you engage an enemy, reaction, spend 1 supply and exhaust Hunter's Instinct. Add a level 0 event in your discard pile to your hand. So we have recursion still in the color pie for Survivor, but this is a bit more limited than just choose any level 0 card and put in your hand like we have with Scrounge for Supplies. It's not resourceful where it's picking any kind of card. Um, this is just events, just level 0. Maybe we get an upgraded version that makes it up to level 2. I have no idea. Plus, um, I think that unengage is a good time for it, right? You could think about getting a fight event, and this seems like a pretty fun card to play with, even in our legacy environment. eCash, it's still here. It's a good card. That's all we need to say about it. Okay, last one requires us to talk a little bit more about what this is. This guy is called the Collector. It's a permanent asset. It's a reward, a new keyword in the game. So there's potentially more rule changes. We don't really know. But this is a card that is supposed to be unlockable through gameplay. So it's a card that can be in your collection, but you don't get to put it into your deck until you've done something in the game. And what they said here, let me find it over here in the article. It's a reward for winning a campaign, finishing a specific scenario, or fulfilling some other special condition. You can't include a reward card in any of your decks, any of them, until you've officially unlocked it in game, which means these rewards serve as a form of permanent progression as well as proof of your investigating chops. Okay, so they say if you complete the Brethren of Ash campaign, that's the core set, then you're going to be able to include this in your future decks. This one is purchase only at deck creation, so you can't just add it in to whatever you've done at that point if you're continuing on, I suppose. But the idea, to me, this feels like when you're playing a video game and you get to have some sort of unlockable that now you get to potentially start your next run through, like Slay the Spire or something with. It's a fun reason to replay the game and to hunt out various achievements. This one's not a tough achievement, but I think it's a neat idea to add to the core of the game. Now, this one gives you +5 deck size, which isn't that great, but you get to add to your deck building options a relic or charm asset of any class, 0 to 3. I Yeah, so it's just one copy, right? Because it's one other. I can think of a lot of relics that I would love to take in some random deck I'm playing, so I think this is a fun idea. The drawback, of course, is the +5 cards. Is it this good? Potentially, um, but it's fun. I think it anything where you're opening up deck building for a cost, right? This isn't free, is fun. So good for them for including something like this in an interesting way. I think a very interesting way. I wish I said this on Justin's stream as well that they put these cards in like a little uh, I don't know, something where it was hidden until you fulfilled the conditions. So some other little hidden package where you get to rip open, some seal, and then you get to see what the reward is. Otherwise, it's slightly less interesting, but it's still a very cool idea to add to this game, add to the core, because we never had anything quite like this to then be expanded upon or iterated on in all future products. So neat. Maybe we get more of these in this core. I don't know. There's some 15/16 down here. I don't know if that means there are multiple copies of this, like 15 and 16 are this. Maybe they have changed the templating on how they number cards at the bottom, or maybe that there's 16 different rewards or 8 different rewards. No idea. So that I think covers basically everything from what's happening and what's new. Um, they give us a little bit of teasers about the investigators, but nothing about what they are in terms of their stat lines. So we don't need to talk about them. Again, it's Joe, it's Izzy. This is artwork of Joe. This is artwork of Izzy. But I'll finish off by just saying this is not the end for when we learn about what this upcoming core set is going to be like. This was just the first day. I'm incredibly excited just to get new content for this game and to think about how the game has evolved into a new chapter, but isn't completely throwing out all the old stuff. I haven't decided entirely about how I want to attack the game, I guess, going forward. I will still play Legacy style with Legacy campaigns. I will probably just use the new current environment stuff with new stuff going forward and see what that's like. And then I might change things up. At the moment, I'm sort of uncomfortable with using the new stuff, the chapter 2 cards and investigators for that matter, with the old legacy content. Like, I don't really feel good about mixing them that way, but remains to be seen. I can change my mind on that. Izzy's interesting too because Jenny, her sister, is now canonically lost, right? So we've kind of have a reversal of sorts. So what does that mean for playing investigators like it, like Jenny? Like you can't play her going forward. They did make a little bit of a to do in the video about how Arkham has changed, and they are trying to use this chapter 2 in a story mechanic as well. That they want Arkham, the city, and our stories going forward to be after the things that we saw happen before happened. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the mechanics of the game? I have no idea. We're gonna find out. But yeah, we're gonna find out. Next week, we are going to. I guess I might as well just show this on screen. Okay, next week. This is the schedule for the next couple of weeks of previews for the new core set. So next to Monday, November 3rd, ArkhamHorror.com, which is like the official Arkham Horror website, will have something. I'm guessing an investigator. Maybe we get to see Joe Diamond fully. I don't know. And you can see my name right. Well, I can't off my camera here. I'll be previewing 2 cards on Thursday, November 6th. The theme for the next couple weeks is Seeker. So I believe we all have Seeker cards. I have 2 Seeker cards to show off. I can't say anything else about them, but I will make a video talking about them and what they mean for the game going forward. That's about it. Come back here in a week and you'll see some discussion there, but also check out all the other content creators. And we're going to start to build up what this core set really looks like over the next few weeks. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.